Not long ago, one of my friends in LinkedIn, after reading an article I had shared, asked me about this topic. She said she would like to learn about retention and managing a team. I could understand her frustration because I have been there. People have quit on me in large numbers. Some even left on the very day they joined me. It bothered me for some time until one of my leaders noticed and rebuked me to stop such nonsense. That it was pretty normal for people to join and even quit, the revolving door syndrome. It is unimaginable that one will have a team that sticks together for the whole season. It may happen, but very rare. Most times, some will join as they leave, sort of having a brief visit. Others will last only a little while. John Maxwell got it right when he said, "Those who start with you seldom finish with you." This is one of the pains of leadership. Losing people is not an exciting affair, more so if the people were part of a critical number. Here are a few reasons you will not be able to keep everyone and perhaps what you could do about the situation when it comes.
Divergent interests. Different people come with different interests. Each one has his or her own interests. It is unlikely that you will be able to figure out the various interests out and perpetually satisfy them. The real problem might not be interests per se, but the fact that not everyone will readily talk about their real interests. Most people like to keep this bit for themselves, and when asked, just give politically correct answers, hence hiding the real motivation behind the banner. Another point of interest is this: they are not static, they are dynamic. One who joins your team for recognition and fame will quit either when he realizes it would not happen or immediately after achieving the objective unless he identifies another worthier goal to pursue. While pursuing one interest, a new interest may crop up, one more important to him than the one that made him join the team, and thus he quits. This cannot really be fun to the team leader. Another person will join your team as a stepping stone to the next level. That makes them just sojourners. It does not matter what they say. The best you can do is to ensure you treat them well enough so they can miss your team when they leave. This is possible because there are enough bad leaders around who will make their lives unbearable in some teams. In fact, some of them coming to you are already running from a bad leader somewhere. So stay open and warm. Show genuine concern and care, and you might as well find that some will change their minds from leaving your team to stick with you for as long as it takes. A while ago, a friend asked me if I could have some fresh graduate of mathematics to recommend for him to work in an organization. My alma mater, the University of Nairobi, had just churned out fresh graduates in the most recent graduation, which had taken place in the previous 2 weeks. So this was easy. I picked a young man who was known to me. He was in one of the church groups working with us on a particular magazine and had expressed his desire to get a placement at the earliest possible opportunity since he was in his final year. I recommended this young man to my friend. He assured me he would love to get that opportunity. He attended the interview and was successful. The day he was supposed to report, he did not. I also did not know this until much later when I asked my friend about how this young man I had recommended was faring on. I was ashamed of myself. How could I recommend someone who did not even have the courtesy to tell me that he was not going to pick the job? Worse still, did not advise me to get someone else. From then, I learned not to just endorse people for job opportunities. I have a name to keep. I hope you get the point. The guy got a better offer and was just picking this just in case the other would not work. The team leader lost his new team member even before they could work together. I believe he did not deserve that kind of treatment. Knowing that recruitment is a costly affair, I understood the frustration. Interest is a key factor that could cause people to quit, and there is nothing much you can do about it. It is part of the natural changes that must happen, whether in a work environment or a professional club. In our Rotary Club, I have seen people join and work very well and very actively, only to quit less than a year later. That's life. The important point to note is that the moment interest starts waning, people start having lots of excuses why they miss in action. It could be practice sessions for your orchestra. It could be playing a specific role in a live performance. It could be a meeting or any other responsibility. You will start noticing absence that becomes chronic. Perhaps that's the best indicator for an impending exit, depending on the type of orchestra you're leading. And thus, the best time to try and either arrest the situation if possible or hold a discussion that could enlighten the leadership. You may call it exit interview or whatever title you deem fit.
Otieno Paul Peter, you as the writer of this book, I think there's something that I will want you to answer me at some point as we continue. That is when you get the chance to answer. So you as someone who is under a leader, at what time should you know that you're supposed to quit? So personally, as I was reading it, I felt as if your idea is people should always be there. What about this person who has genuinely outgrown the organization? You get me? What about this person who feels my season here is over? Is it bad for them to quit? I think part of my leadership, part of what I've been mentored in leadership is knowing that at one point you will be having someone to change nappies, to change diapers. That means that you will have someone new in your organization. And I think it's not even because you are bad or there's something the organization has not done. At times I think it is just because this person has outgrown the organization and it is very okay for them to leave. I think I will want you to touch on that because by reading this text, I felt you really focused so much on the bad side of living. And I feel it's okay for people to leave. You get me? If you've outgrown the place, it's okay to leave because me as a leader, I would feel good if someone who has been working under me feels they have outgrown the place and they're ready to move on to their next assignment. Dr. Eda Tatu, I'd love to hear what you say about this thing.
I would say that in my experience, there's a saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And Simon Sinek has always been talking about that people will bend over backwards to be in any organization when they realize that you will also bend over backwards to take care of their needs and interests. It's not about so much about the salary, although the salary is important, After some time, the salary stops being important when they realize that actually the personal touch is not there. And yeah, I worked for an organization, a mission hospital, where the salary was very low, but the turnover was also extremely low. And when I came to discover that our director, she used to find time to come for people's funerals all the way to Shago. She never used to tolerate gossip. You know, she would call people if you say this thing, so then she would call both of you and say, can you repeat that in front of the other person? So gossip died. And when a very rich organization came to try and poach the staff, they almost found it impossible to penetrate that kind of family situation that they had in that company. She would have meetings and everybody's voice was listened to, from the smallest nurse assistant to, you know, the medical consultant. Everybody was listened to and it was noted and it was implemented. So people just felt like they were part of a family, you know, like when there would be a funeral, then they would put skeleton stuff and they would go with the director, or she would send a representative. So the places the last place that I left, the director was he was a racist. He openly showed that blacks were inferior to the ones who were light-skinned, and the salaries were different. He would openly quarrel with you in front of the other staff. When you lose a person, it's like it doesn't bother him. All he wants to know is when you'll come back. So he's been calling me to ask me when I'm going back, and I have no intention of going back there. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. People leave and they don't realize what value they have lost until you've gone. Thanks for letting me share.
Okay. Karibu sana. Karibu sana. Any other volunteer? Odhiambo Olale. I'd love to hear your mind. I love your thinking. Where are you, my friend? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. How are you on? Sorry, last week I was overtaken by events. I was in Slumberland and it was so sweet. By the time I woke up, it was almost 8:30.
Okay.
Yes. Now back to the issue. Judas is in our life. I think I also like to share from the perspective now of the employer. There's this employee I had for 10 years work in my farm. He reached a point whereby it's like he became he had a lot of apathy. He did not care. So I had to take that serious, that painful decision to ask him to take a walk. At times those are that work relationship is so good. But when it reaches such a point, now you have to make a decision because especially when it comes, you are dealing with the bottom line. You say, should I now continue with this worker or I release this worker and pay the other ones a little bit more so that they can fill in for this particular one? And then there was this other worker also who was a Judas Kabisa here. He was I was paying him salary, but his allegiance seems to have been elsewhere. So I try to tolerate and also sympathize because I don't believe in sacking somebody because, you dehumanize somebody, demoralize somebody. But in this particular case, I told him, hey, I think you have to decide. Your loyalty, if I cannot get it, then I think I'll just have to ask you to take a walk because I don't know what else you're doing with other people, especially family members who maybe we're not seeing eye to eye with. So that painful decision at times has to be made by the employer. Do you let somebody go or do you let the person stay? They have maybe like this one at 10 years loyalty, or rather 10 years service. Then now suddenly this happens. This other one was barely 1 year old, but his interest was like divided. And I think those are the storms in our lives, especially work life, that we must consider. Thank you.
Karibu sana. I think I would still want to know. Now I'm going to you, Paul Peter. I would still want to know. So, do you mean leaving an organization is wrong? Let me give you an example. In the last organization that I was in, I worked there for quite some time. You get me? I worked there for quite some time. But I felt that I got to a place where I felt no, this is not it. You get me? I now need new challenges. So I was, to be honest, personally, I was even depressed for some time because I'm just feeling it's like I am in a bottle. You get me? It's like I am in a bottle. And I decided to leave. There's another girl who came while I was still leading the organization, and she was there for like 7 months. And she came and told me, by the way, I feel my time of leaving has come. And personally, in my spirit, I felt it is very okay to release her. There's nothing wrong she has done. You get me? There's nothing wrong she has done. She's gotten a new challenge, and it's very okay for her to go. So was it wrong? Is it wrong if someone leaves this organization because they feel I have outgrown this space? This space is too small for me. So would you say that this person has done the wrong thing? Would you say that this person is a traitor or something? So would you rather this person just sits there and never grows?
I got your question. Otieno. And to everybody else may be thinking about the same. What we are discussing is not a wrong or a right. We are discussing that as a leader, and Lady Noel, this is now to you. I'm sitting in the position of your leader there, maybe your director. And this is the person whom you go and tell that I'm now going. So I'm sitting in that position to feel what he or she is feeling. That, oh, my key player is leaving. It's not a wrong or a right thing, but it's a painful thing. Yeah, that a leader has to deal with. That I have a team member who is leaving me, who has gotten a better offer. Was it yesterday? Yesterday, or somebody was telling me the other day. Actually, yes, yesterday, but one on Saturday, I was sitting with a cousin of mine, and he was telling me about what happened at one point in his life. He's the head of his department, I think, in the whole country, and they do a lot of network support for these big organizations, the Safaricom, Airtel, wherever. They provide backhaul support. So his team, there was a competitor that came into the industry, and a lot of his people had been called for the interview, including himself, and these people were headhunting. They just look your CV. So he was called. Actually, what brought in this discussion was Dr. Eda's comment last week about inviting people for lunch. So he was telling me that he listened to it and was saying that Dr. commented, gave in a very insightful comment. I was invited for the same thing, for lunch. And we talked. They had invited other members of mine I did not know. So they told me, we already know you. We've gone through your profile. We've gone through lots of what you've been able to achieve. But we just wanted to see you and hear from you, and gave him an offer. And he looked at it. It was a good offer, but he said, well, I'm not the type of person to quit projects before they are over. So at the moment, there is something else I'm doing in the current organization. So once I'm done, that's better. I will consider that. But these people said there is no problem. We will keep in touch when you are done. That would be good. We will be happy to have you. So he went, and realized that his people had been invited to the same organization, and saw an impending mass exodus. People were quitting because there were also changes in the organization. So he went to his boss and said, I want to share with you something in confidence. And then related the story and told them, you know what, those people were surprised, said, don't tell me you're also quitting. You see, so he said, actually, I've considered that, to be honest, but I told them that I am in the middle of some project, which was true. He was running some project, he was developing some system for this organization. And I told them, I'm not the type of person to abandon projects in the middle. So I'd rather finish before I consider that. Then they said, hey, thank you very much. And they increased his salary, I don't know by whatever percentage. They were very happy. That's what I'm not picking the position of this person who is leaving. I'm picking the position of this person who has organized and built a team that is dependable, available, a team that is trainable, a team that is focused. But then all of a sudden, your goalkeeper tells you, I'll not be there end of next month. So you've got to look for another person, put in that place, and coach. That is the pain that I'm trying to talk about. And they are not doing anything wrong, only that interests differ. And that's what I was talking about. People quit because of different interests. We've discussed a number of them there. And the big thing, I love talking about this word interest, because this interest is somewhat the glue that brings people together or make them part ways. When we are picking an opportunity at the beginning of the year, or at the beginning of any particular period, it is that our interest converges. They want something that we are interested in and something like that. If you are going to the bank is interested in the interest that they are charging you. You see, it's always some interest. And so these interests keep changing. Maybe somebody is coming because of the position. I saw people quitting the company in which I worked, the last company I worked for. Yeah, they quit this organization, they go to a sister organization or a competitor, and then shortly later they come back. It's all about interest. So it's good to know that people can grow and outgrow, like you are saying, and so their interests have shifted. It is no longer there. The pain that the leader goes through is what we are talking about. And so people will quit. We also say people quit people rather than companies. There are enough reasons to believe that a number of us who quit because of a particular person or a particular leader. Unfortunately, that's not me. I've only worked in 2 organizations, and I did not leave because of any leader. It's just my interests shifted, you see. So you will agree with me, a number of you people, like Dr. Eda has said, that the leader was a racist. So in some instances, you realize that I'd rather earn less than work with this particular leader. And that is why leaders need to keep perpetually growing, perpetually working on themselves. So interest will change, people's interest will shift. And as interest shift, they will also, why people quit is their own reasons. You may not know those reasons, but sometimes you get to know if they come to discuss with you, and that's why we talk of exit interview. Does that answer your question, Lady Noya?
I think at that point, you and I will have to agree to disagree.
Can I
Because,
also comment something, Noel?
just a minute, because
Hmm.
I feel that you have really spoken about the position of the leader, but you have not spoken about the position of this person who is leaving. Because this book is not just written for that leader, and all of us are leaders. You get me? All of us are our own leaders. So now what about this person who is leaving? Why? I feel you have made this person feel like it is entirely my mistake to leave, or me leaving is doing the wrong thing and everything. I was talking to a professional, to a career professional, something, yeah. And I was asking her, like, what is the duration of time we will give someone to be in a certain organization? You get me? And she told me, be in a certain organization, maximum kabisa 5 years. Like, this is the most time you should be in this organization, because we are growing. You get me? You are growing. Every day you're growing. Every day you are growing. And as you said, yes, interest shifts and everything. And so am I still going to continue being in this small place that I am in because the leader is going to get
We are losing you,
the leader is
and I
going
think I understand your question.
to
We are losing you.
say by the I left the I
We are losing you. Dr. Eda, you can speak.
Okay, yeah. So OPP, yeah, you need to look at both sides of the stories, because another reason why I left is because there was no continual professional development. We never used to have weekly clinical meetings whereby we can also do mortality meetings. You know, a hospital is supposed to to analyze the reason why somebody died and why it should never happen again, or why you have clinical meetings whereby we're always updating ourselves on the latest kind of treatment. You just see this place where you're stagnating, eh? And it was an autocratic kind of authoritarian kind of leadership, whereby the guy is the alpha and the omega in all the decision making, and he doesn't involve anybody in his unilateral decisions, and all of you are just supposed to swallow what he has woken up in the morning to decide. And you know, there's something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It was designed by Maslow. It's like a pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid, you see, nobody can move to the next level without satisfying the first level. So at the bottom of the pyramid is the basic needs, you know, food, shelter, water, clothing, you know, oxygen. These are the basic needs, and probably somebody will come to your organization to satisfy those needs because they need the money to feed themselves and their family. Then the next step after that is whether they feel safe in their organization, and whether there's job security, or you're the kind of person who just wakes up in the morning and says, get out, eh? Because so the loyalty to the organization will also be there if they feel safe and that they will be corrected in a fatherly way or a motherly way. Then the next one after that is love and belonging. Do people feel that they belong to your organization? After that, the esteem needs, you know, like if you go to an organization and you tell people I work in such and such a place, and the response is that, you know, wow, those people are really good. They treated my person so well. But when you go and you're being told, when Africans go there, they're treated differently. When whites go there, they're treated differently. And you're talking that you work in that organization, your esteem needs are not being met. Then after that is self-actualization. Everybody has the deepest need to become the best version of themselves. So if I'm not seeing that you have a vision and mission that's in line with my vision and mission to become the best person that I can be, because what you've written on paper as your mission and vision is not actually what you're practicing in how you treat people, and your first customers are your staff. Because if you don't treat your internal customer well, they won't be able to treat the external customer well. So if I feel that my needs for self-actualization are not being met, and basically I'm just getting, you know, a salary to put food on the table, then I'll definitely be looking elsewhere. And everybody was always on the internet looking elsewhere. So according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you should have, and then somebody else has added something to Maslow's hierarchy of needs at the top. It's called transcendence. So if I feel that working in your organization helps me to be a better person and fulfill my divine purpose on earth, like I met a young dentist, an intern the other day, and he was telling me he's so mesmerized by his boss because he has so many opportunities to give treatments that will cost so much money, but at the expense of the patient. But he always chooses the what's best for the patient, not what will bring him so much money. So this makes the person feel transcended, and this person knows that he's working for somebody who's working for a very higher purpose, and that is giving glory to God in everything that he does, not for the money. So he will stay there for a very long time, I'm sure. But you also need to know that the age group, our parents, if you go to funerals, our parents' generation used to work for organizations for 40 years, 50 years. And they used to tell us the same thing: go to school, work hard, get a job, and that's the same thing. But the millennials of today, anybody born after 1984, they have completely different needs, and they are very, very volatile, and they're very restless. So you cannot expect somebody born after 1984 to stay with you for long. That's my take.
Dr. Eda, you have some problem with people born after 1985, but there is no problem with that. Okay, I get you. What you have gone to discuss is what we will be discussing next. How do you retain people? And Lady Noel, I think your issue we can discuss later. This is a leadership book, The Making of a Symphony Orchestra. If I'm building an orchestra and people start quitting midway, they are not wrong, but I will feel bad because I've got to start the process again. And that is what I'm addressing. That's what we are addressing. I would love perhaps to hear somebody who has been losing people or who has lost some team members so that they can share their feeling, as opposed to somebody who left. I know why people leave. We all know why we leave. But could we also listen to somebody who has lost people? I personally have lost people, and I know what it feels, and that's what I was sharing in the book. So can we, Odhiambola, have you lost, have people told you that I'm leaving? Yeah, and how did it feel? At times, even our house helps. Just tell us that, okay, I'm leaving. I want to leave next week. And that alone disturbs you big time. So do we have some experience, somebody that would like to share in experience? Yes, Odhiambo?
Now that you've identified me, I have no option.
Yes.
I still remember that I had a very good worker when I was working at the Kisumu Bureau Chief of the Nation Media. It was very good. But the problem was that this problem of what you're calling interest, but me, I'd rather use the word loyalty. Kwa media, the other one, he was working for provincial administration, and it almost looked like he was even working for the Secret Service. So I had to talk to him severally, tell him, hey, please make up your mind. The choice is yours, but you see, you cannot be on both sides. So before he could, as he dilly-dallied, to send him a letter, tell him that now, I'll help you make that decision, that now you just stick to the other side and let us also be on this side. It's usually very painful, even for the manager to do that. But you see, we must look at the two sides of the issue. The interest of the management, meaning the company, and the interest of the employee. They must merge somewhere. If they're clashing, then we must let it go somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is what we are talking about. When you wake up and like when I was leaving Africa Online, I went to HR manager in the evening and I told him that I plan to leave. I'm giving 1 month notice. He told me, no, that's impossible. You see, one, you are young, you just came the other day. You are not as old as some of us. I was just about 20, in my 20s, almost towards 30s. And I'm telling him that I'm leaving, not to join any company, but to do my own stuff. That's what I mean. And I've seen people leave me like that. And I've seen people also get devastated when they lose workers, when they lose employees. And that is where what we are talking about. Maurice, maybe I'd like to listen to you. What did it feel when you maybe told Strathmore that you are going to pursue other interests? What was the reaction of your leader?
Okay, I may not comment specifically for my previous specific employer, but what I would want to just comment about this topic today, I'm just reading on page 204, the last paragraph. And the point that you have to keep planning, to keep growing, more so the soft skills, the ability to influence, to communicate better, to inspire, to teach, and to make decisions amongst others. And the lesson for today is actually a big lesson for me. And this is something which is, we keep on growing every day. And this is a mixture. There's situations where I've received feedback from the team I'm leading, sometimes very, very tough of how maybe they view my leadership. And then it has been a learning curve, like, how best do I improve so that I can lead the people much better. And then there have also been situations where I have to leave, either because, just like Lady Noel was saying, you've done everything you can do, but you're not seeing like, you feel like you cannot make any additional, there's nothing else you can do to make things change. And you feel like you have reached the best you can give in that particular situation. So that to leave the 3 organizations, which I still maintain contact. But the reason I left was mostly for career growth and to get for more challenges, maybe to test new grounds and to get to learn new things. So the 2 things I would like to share today in this situation is that it reaches that point in life where either your needs as a family has increased, and then you are looking for another opportunity which will give you more money, because money actually at the end of it is very, very important. You can be working for a very good organization, but it reaches that point where you feel like you need more money. And that is why even the example you gave, Paul Peters, is that when this gentleman went to speak with their employer, told them what is happening, he was given more perks. If he had not been given more perks, I think he would have considered to leave also. So sometimes money is very crucial, but also the environment where we work is very, very crucial. So I just want to concur with their contribution today, that as a leader, we need to keep on growing, we need to keep on learning, we need to know how to get feedback so that we become better, we can communicate better, so that wherever the people we're working with can feel comfortable and safe with us. So thank you very much. That is my contribution for today.
Thank you very much. I think this is exciting. This is an interesting topic. And I want to believe we will discuss it again next week when we are also discussing how do we keep people as leaders. The painful truth is that as a leader, you are going to lose people. And I've seen this many times. And a big part of the reason people will quit is that element of personal development. And I've written about it. When people don't feel a sense of belonging in your team, they will quit. When they feel frustrated, when they feel that their efforts are not being appreciated, when they feel that their contribution is meaningless, when they feel devalued, they are going to quit. And people will quit on you. If you are trying to build an organization, you will need people. Remember, we've said one is too small a number to achieve greatness. If you are going to work alone, then you will not achieve much. You will need people, but you must learn how to work with people. There is this story I've said before, and we can read it again in Dale Carnegie's book, the story of Charles Schwartz. He was an engineer, but he had learned the simple art of working with people, and people somewhat gave him loyalty. This loyalty that Odhiambo has been talking about, that loyalty is the biggest thing. Last week, I related how a certain employee for one of my friends was working not for her, but for another organization, but had come to our organization to fish customers and give them some offer elsewhere, telling them, by the way, I have another offer elsewhere, which I can take you to. So they was selling office space. So he would come work with clients who walk in and everything else, but these people are not signing up. Only for my friend to realize that these people were actually being lured elsewhere. So there is no loyalty there. The leader will take charge and the leader will be relieved to have released that person. But here is some A player in your organization, a central player, somebody you want to depend on. You can call and say, I will not be there for 2 days, but I trust that everything will run fine. And then it tells you, well, by the way, I have some engagement that is coming up, so I don't think I'm going to be there in the next 2 weeks. And then they maybe ask for leave, and then thereafter, they tell you that I'm not coming back because I've gotten something else. It devastates a leader. It's very painful because you imagine how far you've come. It is more or less like saying a farewell. But as a leader, that is part of life that we will have to deal with. We will have to prepare for. We will have to expect. And so there are also ways that we will be able to read how to deal with such situations, because they will come for sure. If you are leading a team, you've already seen, whether it's just your house self, we've seen those many times, and they will keep coming. The question is, how will we deal with them as leaders? And I think that is where we want to end today. It's already 2 minutes after the hour. Lady Noel had a, yes, somebody wants to comment?
No, I need to make a correction. And you said that I have something against millennials, but I don't have anything against millennials. You see, it's in fact, if you follow Simon Sinek, he talks about how employers can assist millennials, because one of the major problems they have is the delay in gratification. You see, our generation, we had to really work for things. Like if I wanted to get any information now, I would have to go to the bus stop, wait for a bus number 34. It takes me to the National Library. And then I go to the librarian, and then but now this generation can just Google, they can just microwave, they can just get anything they want at the tip of a hat. So they need to be assisted, because it also has to do with the upbringing. Yeah, there's a lot of permissive parenting. Our generation was parented authoritarianly in a military style. So many of my generation are struggling to overcompensate by being very permissive, and these children don't know how to delay gratification. So they need to be assisted by the employer to see how they can learn how to wait for good things. Yeah, thanks for letting me share.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so anybody who will feel left out, you have some burning point, you can say it in 1 minute. Good to see all of you, Joshua. Elsie, today you logged in a little late. I was wondering where you are. Felix, good to see you. AC.
I've been here. I've been here from the beginning.
No. Early morning, ile pre-meeting. I didn't see you.
Oh yes. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I don't know whether this AC is the one I know, but probably she is. AC, good morning. So I think we will end it there.